Again, everyone, good Yontif. It's great to see everyone here in the sanctuary this morning. Again, for everyone watching on the live stream, good Yontif to you as well. May we all have a great new year. Amen. Magda Olczak is an American of Polish descent who grew up here in Oldbridge. She lives in Warsaw with her husband and their 2 children, and she's the co-owner of a popular restaurant. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine began, Magda and her family have given their time, their energy, and their resources to aid the millions of refugees that have flowed across the border. Her restaurant has sent hundreds of gallons of soup to feed the hungry. She coordinates volunteers who are willing to house Ukrainians or donate much-needed supplies. Magda helps refugees find medical care. She gets children into schools and much, much more. I interviewed Magda for my podcast For the Love of Judaism only 2 weeks after the war started. I emailed her a few days ago just to see how she's doing and to get an update. She continues her efforts, although she severely injured herself from the constant heavy lifting of supplies. She was in the U.S. for the summer in part to recuperate, and she sensed that many of us, many Americans, our attention to the war has waned. But in Poland, it is still a part of daily life, and the situation is still dire. Another individual named Sergei Ivanchuk is a Ukrainian and an aspiring opera singer. When Russia invaded his country, he helped by transporting individuals, civilians, out of Kharkiv in his own car. One night, he was shot 5 times, and he would have died except that one of his passengers was a doctor and managed to bind his wounds. Somehow, he made it to a hospital, but he assumed that he would die. In 3 weeks, he saved 100 people, and he thought to himself, I'm only 29, but at least I tried to help people. Miraculously, Sergei survived, and a prominent surgeon learned about him through social media and operated on him. He was brought to a German hospital for more surgeries and for recovery. And this was an incredible stroke of good luck for Sergei as an aspiring opera singer, because in Germany, there are over 80 opera houses. And as a country, Germany subsidizes the arts. And so this way, in Germany, Sergei can pursue his dream. He said, in 5 years, I could perform at the Met as long as no one else shoots me. People like Magda and Sergei are 2 of the many people who are making a difference. Magda, in a very humble way, wanted to make sure that I understood that everyone that she knows leapt in to help in the same way that she did, and that millions of Poles are helping. They're pitching in because the desire to help is infectious. Now, faced with an extreme situation, it would be easy to say, well, I'm only one person, what can I do? Or it would be easy to say, somewhat cold and callous, but you could say, well, that's not my problem. But our tradition teaches us that we have to be like Magda and Sergei when there's a crisis. We have to act. Even if a problem seems overwhelming, our tradition teaches you are not obligated to finish the task, but you have to start. Now, I know that Marlborough, New Jersey is not a war zone, but we too can and we should help people in need. And maybe this is one of the ingredients for healing a battered world. Just help. Just do acts of kindness, or chesed in Hebrew. Because our tradition teaches that the world is established on 3 pillars. It is established on Torah, our holy texts. It is established on avodah, prayer. And the third pillar is gimilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. Kindness literally sustains the world. And yet, current research shows that too often we simply fail to be kind because we underestimate how much the recipient of our kindness will appreciate it. Dr. Amit Kumar of the University of Texas at Austin said, people tend to think that what they are giving is of little consequence. But recipients are much less likely to think along those lines. They consider the gesture to be significantly more meaningful because they are also thinking about the fact that someone bothered to do something nice for them. And so today, I want to highlight 3 acts that might have seemed small to the people who did them, but to the beneficiaries of those acts, they had immense power and incredible meaning, and they were life-sustaining. The first act occurred during World War II. Edith Rubin grew up in Hungary, and she arrived at Auschwitz as a teenager. She was tall for her age, so she was separated from her family and sent to a work camp. Amid the relentless cruelty, a small act of kindness came from a very unexpected source, an older German guard. Every day, this German guard set his lunch on a bench and simply walked away so that the Jewish prisoners would have something to eat. He did this every single day that Edith remembered. She said, he just put it down, did not say nothing, walked away, and never looked back. Today, Edith is 93 years old. But she remembers that German guard because that simple gesture not only helped her survive physically, but it restored her faith in humanity and got her through the Shoah. The second simple act happened on January 27th, 2005. Queen Elizabeth, Zichrona Livracha, may her memory be for a blessing, was meeting a group of Holocaust survivors to mark the 60th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. When the time came for her to leave, she stayed. She stayed much longer than was on her busy schedule because she wanted to give each survivor her complete and undivided attention. It was important to the Queen to hear each of their stories, and there were a lot of survivors that were with her that day. It did not matter. She gave her time and her attention to each of these individuals. And one of her attendants was shocked because he had never seen the Queen give more than her allotted time like she did to these survivors. She stood with each person until they finished telling their story. And the Queen's action had a profound impact on the survivors. As one commented, 60 years ago, I did not know if I would be alive even tomorrow. And today I am talking with the Queen. The third example of a small act of kindness that had a profound impact happened right here in our Marlborough Jewish Center community. An older gentleman died at the start of the pandemic, leaving his widow alone. Her adult children live out of state. As usually happens, this widow was depressed without her life partner, but in addition, we were all getting used to COVID, to isolation, and she was isolated, and she felt utterly lost. At the same time, a family reached out to me and to Dara Winston, our executive director, and said, "We want to help. Is there anyone who needs help?" And I immediately thought of this widow, and I just said, you know what? She would really love a phone call. So that one phone call to this one woman blossomed. It led to weekly conversations before Shabbat, lifting her spirits. Just before Rosh Hashanah, the family sent the widow chicken soup and challah for the holiday. The widow sent flowers in return. The widow told me recently through tears of gratitude that being adopted by this family means so much to her because it carried her through and continues to buoy her through a very difficult period, and it gives her joy every Friday and more. She told me she is incredibly grateful to our community for its ongoing support. And she said that the family reminds her of one of her favorite quotes from Aesop: "No act of kindness, no matter how small, is wasted." And the point I want to express today is this same idea that our tradition teaches us. Never underestimate the power of a kind gesture, no matter how small. It could literally save someone's life. It could literally save the world. If nothing else, this year 5783, let's strive to be as kind as we can and do acts of chesed, acts of kindness, as often as possible. Thank you. I wish everyone a Gemar Chatima Tova. May we all be sealed for goodness in the book of life. And let us say Amen.